Hello, my friends. Tiffany Carole here, and I'm together with Rakia'el Webb. And we are about to embark on a fantastical journey with each other and with you. So stay here, pull up a seat, grab a cup of tea, and Rakia'el's going to introduce actually our theme that we're going to be dancing with today.
Welcome, everyone. So excited and honored to be here with you all. Thank you for tuning in. So today, Tiffany and I are going to be talking about our experiences of what it's like to be mystical female entrepreneurs and where we're at on the leading edge of our creative expression. It feels amazing to be here.
That feels amazing to me too. I know. For a little backstory for this too, Rakia'el and I have no shortage of ideas of things that are constantly popping, like very fresh, and we'll go back and forth in our texting, like, oh, and this is really happening right now, and then the next day it's something else, and it's not like a flightiness, like that we're not staying with the depth of things. It's that, at least how I experience it, is my depth is, my steadiness is becoming even more steady. My fierceness, as we were talking about before we started recording, is even more fierce, like I'm more bold, steady, clear, confident in myself. And how I experience it is, I'm a more clear, more available channel for what wants to move through me. I can trust my rhythms. I can trust the way that I create, and take care of myself. And so it's like I get, it's with my daughter, who's now almost 3, as she shows me that she can hold bigger glasses with more stuff in it, I give it to her. And I give her a little bit more. She can take it a little bit further away from me. I'm not right there like holding it. So I have this capacity, this fierceness, this availability. And so I just tune in, receive, flow out. Tune in, receive, flow out. And I'm freaking loving it. And one more thing I'll add to what I'm loving so much is that something that I have been saying for a while as an affirmation, really, is that I get paid large sums of money just for being me. I flow large sums of money just for being me. And I know the first time that I heard that and felt that and said that, it felt correct. And at the same time, I didn't totally know what it meant vibrationally for me, and also, of course, logistically. But I can say that I feel it so much more now, what's actually required of me as a human soul and as a creatrix and as an entrepreneur, for that to be a lived reality.
Powerful. I was just trying to make sure if my Instagram was working, and it's not. So I'm just like, okay, it's what it is.
Do you want to pause to do anything more with it? I can keep talking.
Yeah, I think if it was going to, I think we'd have to stop. Oh no, now it's working. Oh no,
Yay!
Amazing. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So sorry, let's reconnect.
Yeah,
here.
that feels so good, actually, that it was able to work, because I love the way that you have nourished and built your Instagram community, how you've showed up there for yourself first, and then there. I've loved witnessing it, and I've loved how the energy has, from my perspective, sort of shifted and become more of something, more you, actually, in the last bit of time. I don't know if you want to share about that, actually. I think that'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah. I think I'm just coming out of my Uranus opposition, which is AKA the midlife crisis that we all go through in our mid-40s. And very much as with podcasts, there's very much the metaphor of the butterfly, right? Going into the chrysalis and becoming the chrysalis and dissolving and kind of dying to an aspect of ourselves and then reemerging as a butterfly. And so I feel like over the last 2 years, that's very much been my experience. Um, and there's also, in that whole process of dissolving, there's ways of being and ways of creating that, we had just done habitually because that was what we had seen other people do, or that was what was shown to us, or that we saw that was what successful people did, or things like that. And so, it was a huge death of, I quit doing sound healing and sold all my instruments and closed the Lemurian school and now and took a whole deep dive of 2 years going super deep into human design, and now I'm emerging on the other side of that, and we were just talking a little bit before the podcast, and I was saying it was like, I feel like that there's all of these rules according to human design about what a projector should look like, or what, certain, if you have emotional authority, or what there's these, and I understand that because in order to be able to understand a concept, you have to have some kind of sense of it. So it's like, what is
Mhm.
it to be a projector? And what does that mean? And what does it look like? And where I'm at now in my experience is that my emotional authority, really like what feels good, doesn't want to have anything to do with what it looks like to be a correct projector. And so I've really become so much more sovereign
Mm.
in the way in which I be in the world. And it's almost kind of like I feel like I went so deep into the matrix of human design, and then I was able to stay so close to my own inner authority inside of that process that I didn't realize that it was actually my authority that was kind of starting to shatter some of the mirrors that were in there.
Mm.
And so then I'm able through, it's so wild because it's like through aligning with the kind of teaching of the system itself, I'm able to see through the cracks of the system.
Mhm. How is this an okay moment to interject something? Or are you on a
Please,
roll that you wanna finish? Well,
oh,
I think but I studied after I studied Chinese medicine, then I went deep into the classical 5 elements, like Worsley style lineage, and had incredible mentors that I was working closely with for years after I finished my schooling for Chinese medicine. And I started teaching 5 element, classical 5 element at Bastyr University where I went to school. And then I had associates who were coming into my clinical practice and studying with me to learn this way of seeing. And that way of seeing, which by the way, for anybody that doesn't know, this is not totally doing it justice, but just for brevity, it's a typological system. Human design is a typological system. It's something where you fit people into boxes and those boxes are meant to help you. Ultimately, they're meant to help you see more and help more, create more, facilitate more change. So um, that system itself, the poetry of that system and the structure of that system, it helped me to understand myself, the world, how to move in it, like so many things it blessed me with. And I remember the moment when I realized in the treatment room, when I was looking at somebody trying to get diagnosed their CF correctly, which is their causative factor, get their typological diagnosis right. Because unlike human design that's based on the birth time and everything. But in this case, you're actually basing it on color, sound, odor, and emotion when you're with the person. So in that moment, I'm sitting there, I'm in that looking through those eyes of, oh, I think perhaps they're a wood constitution or whatever it was. And in that moment, I saw it. It was like I was above myself. And I realized that I would never be able to truly see this person in front of me as long as I was seeing them through the lens of a system,
mm,
whatever that typological system was. I couldn't see. When I say truly see, what I mean is their actual emergent becoming self. Because as long as I'm overlaying some kind of filter on that, I'm not as free as I want to be in my experience of receiving another human being. And so I
Mm.
decided to lay it down, which was like, it was a big deal because I was a teacher of it. I had studied it. And for a little while I did think, oh, I'm not somehow I was gonna sacrifice my capacity for really being able to help people. But actually the opposite was true. I felt so liberated by it and still continue to be liberated by, like, I love hearing about the different systems. And I even love having sessions, astrology sessions, readings from me, or human design readings. But I've never had the desire to go down deep into those for that very reason that I described before.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that totally makes sense because you are always trying to fit someone into that system to be able to understand them better, to be able to help them better, but you are not really seeing the full spectrum of who they are.
Yeah, and then that applies then to you as well, which is what you were just speaking about. Like you end up doing that from you to you. So it has a place, it has a time, it can give a lot, and then at a certain point, the departure from it, I think, is probably a healthy next move, or at least
Mhm.
a departure from holding it fundamentally.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. So with that, I'm just so curious about how your creative process. I think one of the stories that stands out that's so fascinating for me about your creative process is when you received the whole crystalline transmission, these golden codes of the Lumina Guild, and
Mm.
you were sitting by a river, right? Was that it?
Yeah, it was this estuary in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Like, would you tell us that story?
Yeah. Ooh, I got chills. Oh, thank you for asking. That felt so generous and nourishing all at one time. Um, yeah, I feel like the way that my experience of my own creative process is that I start to feel uh, an unexplicable interest in something. And sometimes it comes as like I started hearing this phrase in my head some years ago that said, "You're here to give rise to a new understanding of value. You're here to give rise." It was something like this. You're here to give rise to the new understanding of value and to co-create the next governance. And I was like, shit, really? Like, I did not study politics. I have no interest in it. I'm not a poli-sci major. Like, what would that actually look like? And the new, oh, I know what it was. How it came was the new schema of value, the new schema of value. So that was just with me. And because I felt the importance of it, I felt the truth of it. It came to me. I was receptive and it came to me. Those words, I was receptive and it came to me. And I didn't know what it meant yet. So I just let it hang out. And I would ask myself almost every day, what does it mean to give birth to the new schema of value? What does that mean? And then I would ask myself, I would move through my day and go, how are values created? What is a value? And so these questions would just sort of shape how I would experience an exchange with someone, a transaction, what I did with my time during the day, where I spend my money. But I still and I was like, what is this going to look like? I'd be asking all the time, like, what is this going to look like? Is it? And I would try to fit it into known forms, which is, I think, what we do. It's normal, right? Like, is this an online school? Is this a membership community? Is this a book? What is it? And meanwhile, there was also these little things that were orbiting where things that I was seeing that actually weren't working in the
Mm.
coaching world, in the way that we perceived and talked about transformation, in
Mm.
our relationship with money, sort of our relationship with the exchange of money. There was something up that didn't feel quite right around all that, but I wasn't sure what did. So those were there, and I saw not that people weren't talking about it. And I remember sort of busting out at one point to just speak about some of these things in an impromptu webinar. And there was one woman who just had a lot to say about why I was wrong. And um, basically that I was like, it was inappropriate from her perspective for me to even be talking about these things, that I wasn't qualified. And I will tell you, I had this recoil. And I thought, okay, I mean, part of me, it was so outlandish. I like knew it was her stuff, but at the same time, I had this bit of recoil. Okay, well, who am I to talk about these things? Now I think, who am I fucking not to talk about these things? Really? Like, really? If I have 34 years, like in the front lines of human potential and human transformation, over 2 decades in the healing arts, I am in constant, sincere contemplation about big questions. Who am I fucking not to be talking about these things? Like, it would be completely out of integrity for me not to. So, by the way, I can say that with this fierceness now, just in this moment. I've never said it with that much fierceness. So I will say that's a creative edge, which is testament to the power of you and our coming together in this trajectory that we've been on, because it was able to come through because of us. Okay, so back to the thing. So I'm in these contemplations. I don't know what this new shape is going to be. I had a beautiful conversation with a woman who was a previous client of mine, and because I was still working with this money exchange thing, like what it was going to look like. And she had this beautiful idea that, because I said, it feels like a membership community, but it's so much more than a membership community. It feels like something connected to the Renaissance. I feel the word guild, like guild keeps coming up. And she, this woman who was a previous client, she's in the financial world. And she had this idea about 20% of all the membership dues being invested on behalf of the members. And that then when the members have a creative project, that they can apply for funding and their projects get funded. And so all the things that I wanted, like getting the middleman banks out of the picture, having all of these prerequisites or hoops that humans are supposed to jump through to get their stuff funded, like taking that out and us creating it within our community. There's so much more to that, but I'm going to not go into that now. So as soon as she said that, that was the key. And I started to see this new shape. And then I'm at this gorgeous 5-star hotel in Sri Lanka, meeting with these incredible minds, one of whom was the High Commissioner of the Canadian consulate who was there, and this other woman who has her doctorate in mindfulness, who's doing a big project here in Sri Lanka. And we're having human conversations. And this man is talking about the unexpected death of his wife, who was in her, I think, late 30s after they moved to Sri Lanka. And I was just with that, that poignancy of impermanence, the poignancy of impermanence. And everything got really still and reorganized. And I went to sleep, and I was just so felt the presence of all my guidance in the dreaming time. And then I got up at 4 a.m, which is what I've been being called to lately too, like 4:30 in the morning. And I walked, and my butt was sat down at this one place under a tree. And then I just felt like my crown open, and I started to receive this, and I heard it as a codex, and I saw these 12 facets of the new field of value. And so I just started speaking into my phone. Thank God for phones and being able to speak into them. I just started speaking, and I just spoke it as it was flowing through. And that's what formed the Codex of Coherence, which is what gives basically structure to the guild, to the Lumina Guild. And these 12 facets, which are sort of, they're 12 contemplations really, but they are actually, they are contemplations, but they're also revealing the I want to call it the true nature of human value. It would be like if you stripped away all the conditioning, and you stripped away the systems that have been formed to keep people removed from their power and their understanding of who they really are. Whew, chills. And you actually just looked at how real value operates in empowered, embodied humans co-creating together. That's what the facets are. But because we are not totally living that yet, we're starting to experience it more and more. We're not totally living it. Then the facets actually serve as structural contemplations that shape how we're creating and what we're becoming. Oh my God, I love the way I just described that. Thank you so much for asking the question.
Yeah, yeah. So in that, so that was a while ago, right?
That was like 2.5 years ago.
So how has your creative process shifted since that
Because of
came
it.
through?
Yeah.
Yeah, since you've been living and
Well,
contemplating this now.
so then the Lumina Guild was created, and which, anyone who's listening, check it out, luminaguild.com. You're welcome to come in. It really is a field for those who are creating the future in real time, and recognizing that we need those fields. Actually, we really do for what we're doing now. So the field itself, creating the field, was a big ooh, Rakia'el, I know you're gonna relate to this. Like, every time I get called to create something, the creation of it is also what facilitates my next birth of self. So I was called to create the Lumina Guild, and in bringing the Lumina Guild through, I was, initiated into my next expression of self, which was also really, really for me, permissioning myself to be also a transmitter, not just a teacher, but a transmitter. And what does that look like if I give myself permission to just simply transmit, at least some of the time? And then how it shaped my creation now is that each month in the Lumina Guild, we have a content. Do you want to ask? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know I can just feel this question from other people in the field too, pun intended, is that, so what's the difference between a transmitter and a teacher?
I mean, I'll say first that a teacher can absolutely be teaching through transmitting. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. But the sort of classic way that we think about teacher is they need to instruct step by step. And at least for me, like when I'm teaching at the university level, I teach something and I say, okay, did you understand this? I'm checking in. Now let's see how your skill is with that. And I'm sort of gauging the teaching based on that. When I'm in the transmission space, I let it stream through uninterrupted. And then for me, this is my edge, is at the end of a transmission, when it feels complete, is renouncing the temptation to question if it landed, or if people got it or understood it, or these kinds of things that I might go into in sort of a healthy way as a teacher. But as a transmitter, it's like my responsibility is to listen, to be a clear channel, to tend to this channel, and then do it when it's coming through. Like, let it flow when it comes through. Is that clear? So yeah, how my creations are shaped now is that we have these contemplations every month, these facets. The facet that we're in right now is the facet I just did that Instagram post that I put you as a collaborator on, the facet of memory and becoming. And so that, like that scroll that was in the Instagram, that audio piece that I did, that was the download at the estuary. I mean, I fine-tuned it a little bit, but that was the basic download. And so I read that aloud at the beginning of the month for the Lumina Guild, and then I just let my month be shaped by it. And I'm in inquiry of, what does this mean for me? How am I experiencing it? And then I feedback and I share it in the guild. This is how I'm experiencing. So this is how I'm bringing form to something that is formless. This is how we start to understand and believe that a new way is possible. Because the new way is not concrete. You can't hold it in your hand yet. So we need to have each other articulating, oh my gosh, this is what I experienced. This is what's happening now. It makes it more real. Oh, thank you for asking those questions. What's arising in you now in relationship to your journey of creation and of the births of your next expressions of self.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been kind of an interesting process. I think that before I have this whole board over here, and the top part is everything that is already done. That's all the courses and everything that's already been made. And then there's kind of the holding pool that's underneath here. And it's things that are kind of like ideas that are prepped. They're like they're in the field, as we say. And so
Mm.
a lot of them were human design based. And then when I got the message from my higher self that orienting my business with human design at the forefront was not everything for me, that it was a bigger picture than that. Um, I really started to look at what are the core foundational pieces of my teachings. Um, because it's just an interesting thing. I remember, when I was doing the Lemurian school and doing everything I was doing before, I would look at people who were teaching from a codex or teaching from a lineage, my beloved Kundalini teacher Jai Dev Singh. He's teaching from the teachings of Yogi Bhajan. And so it's not, of course it has his spin and his flair and all of that stuff, and it's very much his, but it's also teaching from the teachings of someone else. And I thought, how nice that must be to not have to make it up and teach it. You could just, the teachings are already there, and then you're just teaching those teachings. So then, unbeknownst to me, I was maneuvering myself into that situation when I was orienting mostly towards human design, because human design is the teachings or the transmission that came through, the man Ra Uru. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why my higher self was like, you cannot continue to do just this with this at the forefront, because you have a lot. I firmly believe that each and every one of us has like a cache of creative ideas that we come in with that we have to get out of us. And you don't have to, but your life will be so much better if you do. And I think that's a lot of what people will, the internal turmoil of not unleashing your creative expression that you came in here with, is what causes relationship problems. It's what causes health problems. It's what causes so much of the internal strife that people then project onto things outside of them. So to me, like, the real task that we have as humans is the excavation of the gifts that we came here to contribute. And it's a task. It's a task. Like, I feel like I'm here like with the shovel, like trying to dig them out of my being and get them out onto the serving plate for other people to enjoy. So then I came to the place where I was looking at, what's my legacy? What's my legacy, and what do I really want to make sure that is grounded and established in my creative expression? And so it was very much, okay, astrology and sound healing and the Lemurian school. And this other piece around, because the core of kind of like really like how I started my business was, the big first teaching that came through was the energetics of Instagram. And so the teachings around being visible, which is ultimately the core teaching of everything I just described, right? About like, you come in with this cache of ideas and gifts and wisdom and talent that must be excavated from within you. And so I feel like those four pillars are now really becoming the foundational keystones of the temple. Um, and I'm really letting go of how it's supposed to look. It's like even I had this little dialogue coming on in my head when I came on to this call with you, and I was like, "Oh, she looks so much like a priestess. I should have worn something more feminine." But I was like, "This is my, like, galactic commander outfit." I was
Oh
like,
my gosh, Galactic Commander, I love it.
I mean, like, so that's what so my office, like, I have these hue lights in my office, and you have to, like, name the room that the lights are in, and so my office has been called the Galactic Command Center for as long as I can remember. And actually my phone, like, when my phone hooks up to the Bluetooth, it says Rakia'el's intergalactic communication device. So while there is this part of me that is like, priestess and, sound healing and all of this stuff, there's also this very, very real part of me that, like, to me is existing in a parallel timeline where I'm the commander of some kind of galactic fleet. And like, and not saying this from kind of some kind of like ego, like self-righteous space. It's just like, that's just what feels true, is like there's a part of me that has this kind of like futuristic military, I don't know, but like with for the good of the humans, um the evolution of consciousness. uh so not thinking that I have to do astrology, sound healing, Lemuria, or visibility work in any particular kind of way that I've seen other people do it. It's really, really kind of throwing all of the rules out the door and being like, what is it that my soul wants to express through these different pillars? Um, and yeah, and so it's really, but I do feel like that they're assignments, that it's like it's an assignment that you get, where it's like, and I really resonate with what you said about that. When you are in the process of birthing something into creation, and also for me very much, there's the birthing something into creation process, but there's also the selling of the offer. And to
Oh
me,
yeah.
like, yeah, the selling of the offer is the high ceremony of that offer.
Mm,
And to be like, I have to turn into the person who is both teaching and receiving that offer in
mhm,
the selling of that offer. And
mhm,
I feel like that so many spiritual entrepreneurs have this like weird relationship with selling.
mhm,
It's just not beneficial.
mhm,
I to me, like, I feel safer. I feel safer in my business when I'm in the initiation of selling something, even though it's also wildly uncomfortable and
mhm.
completely full of unknowns. Um, I prefer to be in the space of offering something up, because that to me is what selling is. It's the devotional offering, and the whole launch or the whole enrollment period for that is, it's a ritual embodiment of that offering.
Oh,
And
that's
it changes.
beautiful. Uh, how has your um, the way that you offer and sell shifted in, say, year? What? How has it shifted for you? What's your experience?
It's wildly, wildly different in the last year, because 1 year ago I was like super deep in the human design fundamentalist world. And so it was this idea that you're just supposed to follow your strategy, follow your authority, and eat according to your determination, and be in your correct environment, and then that will rearrange your geometry, and then that will be the marketing that calls people to you.
Oh,
So
interesting.
Right. It sounds like a good idea, especially for people who don't like selling. Because they're like,
Mm.
"I don't actually sell, I just have to live according to my design."
Oh, interesting.
But for me, that process was life force draining.
Yeah, it would be. I could imagine that for me too.
Yeah, because I was holding my because there's this story that you don't actually have to really sell in that way. You're
Mm,
just, like, being yourself and kind of randomly talking about your offers whenever you want to.
mm,
Um, there's not there's not the enthusiasm that's
mm,
behind, "This is my baby," because that's to me
mhm,
when I'm in an enrollment period, it's like, "This is my baby, and it is the best thing in the whole world." And let
mhm,
me tell you about all of the ways in which this thing that God transmitted and is asking me to bring through to the world to help you,
mm,
how
mm,
this
mm,
is
mm,
the best thing in the whole world and how you absolutely 100% need it because it's not like it's, like, needed, but it's like, this is, like, pure primal creative life force energy.
mhm, mhm,
Like, that's
mhm,
what you need because
mhm,
not everybody brings through pure primal creative life force energy because not everybody is bringing through something without all of this, like, static of strategy. I feel
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
us have this
Well,
static of strategy.
also the other thing that I want to name that's really significant is that it's very different when you're selling or promoting or bringing something through and sharing in the way that you just described, and you're free or relatively free from the energy that someone needs it because they aren't going to be complete or okay if they don't have it. But that's
Whoa.
not the energy that was just coming through you when you said that. But I really want to put put a magnifying glass on that because that is the difference in spiral dynamics. That's the difference between first tier and second tier consciousness. That's the difference of the foundation of the paradigms. If
Chills.
we say previous paradigm is like right, wrong, good, bad, black, white, you got a problem to fix. You've got to figure out the problem and then fix the problem in order to get to the solution, which is what you want. And that whole thing is rigged. It's
Mhm.
rigged. We're what we're coming into more and more. And look, we're not residing in this all the time yet, but it's what feels correct for me. And now when I'm out of it, it doesn't feel correct. I can feel it and I shift. Is that nope, somebody doesn't need what I'm offering because they're broken and they need to be fixed. But if you're ready to go, like feel good, get inspired, get into their next level of alignment and joy and juice and play with other people, yes. And why would you not want that? I mean, when we
Yes.
look at value, like, why would you not want to enjoy your life more, discover more of your uh, gifts and capacities in the process? Cease the kind of heavy lifting on your own, the old
Mm,
kind of excavating, which is like never ending because you're constantly trying to figure out what's wrong with you in order to be what's right with you.
mhm,
And what I
mhm.
find is that when I take part in these creative births and launches, when I say birth too, I include in that like the launch and then even the care for after the launch, because that's a whole other part too, right? Is that I if I have shadow material that needs to get sorted out, it does through that process, the next expression of it. If I have more gifts that need to be discovered, they do get to be discovered and then practiced through that whole process. And it's not that all of it is easy, but when I'm letting it flow, it's easeful because I'm not resisting my own life force.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a big difference, the difference between easy and easeful.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, that things can be challenging, but still easeful.
mhm. How do you, I just, this is like bubbling up in me. I really want to know. How do you, what's your experience like of when you're launching? something, bringing this new thing in and sharing how incredibly awesome it is in the way that you described. How do you continue to line your energy up with that that's coming forth? Like, for example, do you have do you have a strategy that you're a strategy just for you? Like you're saying, okay, I'm going to do this on these days and promote it in this way, or is it something that's very dynamic and fluid and you're feeling into it? You just know that, okay, this is when the doors close and I'm just going to give my all to it for this period of time. Like what's your process?
Yeah, such a good question. I definitely don't have a plan. I've tried having a plan where it's like, okay, even like, a cosmic plan to say where it's like, I've tried having, okay, the moon is going to be in this sign. So people are going to be emotionally receptive to this kind of language. And I can talk about these different aspects. A lot of times I'll make just little sticky notes about like ideas that come. So then it's like, okay, I want to make sure that I can talk about this and I want to make sure I can talk about that. But a lot of the time it is just being in communion with that offering and
Mm-hmm.
really being, like, please God, show me what to do. Like, show me what to say. What is the next thing? And a lot of it is that like I literally turn into the person who I'm talking to. And so
Mm.
like what
Mm.
what's the message that they need to hear so that they can see themselves more in this offering.
Mm.
For example, in the Let Your Magic Out, which is the program that I just did for women moving through midlife and helping them to use Instagram as a mirror for self-awareness about how they're evolving and changing. And so it's a lot about being in the messy
Mm.
middle of midlife. And so there was one morning where I think a lot of it is that my consciousness kind of splits and I become the observer, almost as if it's the narrator.
Mm.
So it's like I'm observing my life through the perspective of the narrator, and I'm watching myself be in the issues that will be coming up for the person who's trying to decide, is this for them or not? And
Mm.
so last time, and for Let Your Magic Out, I was watching myself not knowing what to post and feeling like I was just looking at my phone, watching and scrolling what other people were doing, judging myself, feeling like I didn't know what to post because I was comparing myself to what other people were doing, thinking that I didn't have any ideas. And I was like, this is the fucking idea. This is it. And so I literally just put the phone in different places throughout the house and started acting out like it's basically like ritual theater. It's like I'm dramatizing my own internal process so that it can be used for someone else. And so it's like I'm like, okay, I fucking don't know what to post. And so I'm like picking up my phone and setting it down and picking up my phone and setting it down. So I happen to have an extra phone, so I just use that as a prop, filming it from the little like mail holder on the door. And I'm like, and then I'm like, I have to go wash my face. So then I go and I put the camera on the toilet and I'm like washing my face. And I'm just like, oh my God, I don't fucking know what I'm doing with my life. And then
I love it so much.
yeah, and then I put it in the closet and I'm like, and this too was like part of the teachings of Let Your Magic Out is visibility. So it's like
Mm.
giving yourself permission to be seen.
Mm.
So I'm naked in the closet, and so I have the phone propped up on the shelf, and it's like very strategically, like my elbow is very strategic, so you don't see my nipple. But I'm like, but that was an important piece because it's
Mm.
about being visible is a
Mm.
metaphor thing, and how many eyes am I comfortable with having on me,
Mm.
even as I'm going through this process of like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life. And
Mm.
so that was absolutely, it's like there are these, it's a ceremony. And so this is the mystical aspect, I think, of being an entrepreneur, is that you're in the ceremony of that offering. And so you have to literally put on the costume of the person who is going to be, who's going to be curious if this is for them. And while no one is required to film themselves naked in their closet. You know, I have to go to the extreme to embody the medicine. And so it was just like, this is the content. Like, this is the I feel like that when I'm in the ceremony for an enrollment period, there's a big altar to that offering, and every day it's like I'm sure when you're in Sri Lanka, or it's like, or people who are in Bali, it's like, you're making these beautiful prayers, or like, here in Hawaii, it's like you're making a lei, or you're, folding and you're creating something that is this beautiful offering that you're going to put on the altar. And so to me, every Instagram post, every email is an
An
offering on the
offering.
altar. Mhm.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Thank you for that question.
Oh, it's really satisfying to receive it. It's so funny too because this part I'm reflecting on, and five things came all at once. One, it's very gratifying for me to hear your process because it also validates some of the ways that I navigate, that I perhaps haven't let myself really fully sort of nestle into owning as valid. Um, and even just calling it a ceremony and saying that these emails and these posts are offerings, like, not only do I think it's beautiful, I think that that context is liberating for a lot of creators, particularly women, because the models that are the typical models in the space where you have a strategy that you put on a calendar and you do these many posts and you do this, that, like, that never worked. That never worked for me because I was never attracted to it, and it would have to be something where I forced myself to do it, and I just honestly can't force myself to do anything. Like, quite frankly, it's a trauma trigger for me if I force
Mm.
myself to do anything, so I just don't do it. I have to find my own way that feels good to me. And yet for a long time I was guiding and I still am in certain ways guiding and teaching other entrepreneurs how to journey with selling and with launching. But the main way that I do it now is by modeling it and then being transparent about my process. That's why I also really love this dialogue, modeling it and being transparent about my process, because I also don't think that there's one way that's the right way. But I will say the more good that you feel when you're doing it, the better it's going to go. And so one of the things that I like to talk about too is the launch period is like you're throwing a party. Just think like you're throwing a party. It's an awesome freaking party. You're super excited about it, and everything that you put out is like just starting to get the buzz going for your party. Like, oh my gosh, what are you going to wear to the party? Did you hear about this party? Did you know that such and such band is going to be at the party? And the caterer, can you believe it? You just like get the energy going. I love that. I really love that. But also this, like, the ritual theater part, I feel a little edge for me in the witnessing you has really helped me to be more interested genuinely in posting on social media. And it's also cool and not surprising that when we started doing these dialogues, when we started with the first round a few months ago, it was right around the time I had let go of my team. And so the person who was doing my social media, who's lovely and did lovely things, she was no longer there. So then it was like, either I'm going to be doing it or not. And I can only do it if I'm having fun, honestly. And I also recognize I know the value of working your own edge. I like that. I love that. It's also why I love working out. I like working an edge. It feels good to me to do that. But I have to do it in my way. So all this to come full circle with the launch piece, that selling is enormously important. And if you actually don't find your groove and sell consistently, you deprive yourself of a form of nourishment, not just in terms of receiving money flow, but just a form of nourishment of self-expression. And there's a
100%.
way in which if you don't sell, you're staying in hiding. And if you're staying in hiding, it's going to get lonely in there. It's going to get lonely.
Totally, totally. Yeah. I mean, yeah, 100%. It's like you're you're depriving yourself of this platform of creative expression.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm, mm,
and that,
mm,
I mean, it can suck the life out of you, which is where I was, where it's like I had told myself that it's like, as a projector, I'm supposed to be more withdrawn, I'm supposed to be more sophisticated, I'm supposed to be
mm,
more removed, and it's like, yeah, my brand should be more like a luxury brand, and I'm just like, that is
mm,
not me. That's like, yeah, it's like, the biggest thing that I think, has been a huge part of, like, overarching of all
mm,
of the things that I've ever done has been do it imperfect, do it
mm,
messy, do it like it's the mess that is the medicine. And so that idea of it having to be, like, perfect and polished and, clean and sleek and sophisticated, it just was like that just was never gonna work for me. And just to be
mm,
like, you know, I think it's like I get a huge kick out of it when it's like, I did it this way and it's completely unprofessional
mm,
and it's sold a lot.
mhm,
And
mhm, mhm,
it's like, the joke is on you if you think that it has to be all of these
mm,
planned emails and, like, all of this stuff.
mm,
It's like, actually, no.
mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm.
So,
Well said.
yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, two things. How are we doing on time? All right. Um, two things. One is that I want to say about luxury that I feel like luxury is such a what makes luxury actually meaningful to a person that's experiencing the luxury is that it's luxurious for them.
Mm,
And so luxurious for each person has their own what's luxurious for them. I actually ran a whole retreat in Sardinia, La Dolce Vita, and the contemplation through the whole retreat. The whole retreat was about having a fabulous time, but the contemplation through the whole retreat was what is luxury to you?
mm,
And the one thing that came through everybody actually was spaciousness. I thought that was interesting. That was the one common thread. It's kind of connected to freedom, like freedom and spaciousness. But how people actually what they found luxurious for them was very varied. So I that came up as you were speaking. I want to name that. The other is that um, should I lose it? Creating imperfectly and having an imperfect lunch and flowing lots and lots of money and the future. This is what kind of the direction I wanted to go as we come into closing is looking into the future, experiencing the pull of the future ourselves. Because I know you experienced that too. Like I often feel the future pulling me. I'm saying yes to it as it's saying yes to me. And there's certain things that I feel unmistakably on the horizon for entrepreneurs and creators.
mm,
And I want to name a couple of them here because it's connected to the imperfectly, is your unmistakable humanness.
mm,
And I think AI is actually, in a very interesting way, calling forth a desire and a need to be more unmistakably human, which means being visible as all of you,
mm,
being visible on that whole spectrum of your becoming, not just once you've arrived at some point that's supposed to mean that you can then be visible appropriately or with authority or whatever else. And I think that questions are becoming more significant than answers. And I
mm,
think that the value is now, and not a lot of people are aware of this, but I think that it's going to start happening really fast. People becoming aware of the value in the field
Mm.
itself, and the value in being in proximity of someone. So like the value of being in proximity of you. Yes, you can run a course or an offering that has a start date and an end date, and you can list what the promises are or what the value is, but the real value is just being around you, doing your thing, modeling it. Like that's a value that it's completely invaluable, but that's the real value. And I think people are going to be able to be seeing that more, recognizing that more, and valuing that more. And then the other is I was really felt this in meditation this morning, but transparency of the process, transparency with the process, and intimacy. Those are connected. Transparency with the process and intimacy. And in the Seen in Sovereign Visibility series that we're just actually getting ready to close the doors on in a couple of days, that whole process of creating it and then having a collaborator in it was so, it just had a whole life of its own, and I was more permissioned than ever to let it take shape that way, even to the extent of yesterday with the woman, the lovely, amazing human Gru Hadelmark, who she and I were supposed to record a video yesterday on the wobble, what is the wobble and what to do when you wobble as you're becoming more visible. And I was in meditation in the morning, and the clear message was like, Tiff, you've got to record this, what's coming through you, on your own, like now-ish, not with her. And it had nothing to do with like her not being good enough. It was like not even in that sphere. It was just like there was something I needed to be in my own sovereign field, pick up my phone, not on video, and just record myself streaming what was coming through. And so I message her and say, look, I need you to record your own video or your own audio. I'm doing mine in this way. And she had a whole, it was like it activated her. It brought up her shit, which then we were able to just move back and forth. And then because we both have enough capacity within ourselves to own our process and own our stuff, we just transformed it like that. And the thing is, we made that whole process visible to people through the way that we delivered the content that we're delivering. That's some next level stuff, actually.
Yes.
I'm making that whole process transparent for people because the value is there. What do you think about that, by the way?
No, I think that's fantastic, where it's like it very much is. And to me, that's the mythic, it's the mythic architecture that happens in a launch, where it's that you're in this place of being like, what's the highest level of devotion that I can bring forward about this offering? And sometimes it is something that's wildly unique, where it's like, okay, we were going to do this thing together, and now we're doing, and I think it's such a beautiful thing that you were able to do that in this collaboration, and to bring the stuff that came up between the two of you in the collaboration, and to be like, ooh, this is something that can serve everyone.
Right.
Because I think it's easier to see that when you're like, when I was like in my own spiral, and I was like, I don't know what to post, like, oh my gosh, like I feel so insufficient. And then I was like, oh, this is the post. And then like turned that into the offering. But then to do that when you're dancing with someone else, and for it to be okay for both of your egos to be like, ooh, this is actually the juicy thing. Let's see if we can bring this out. And so I just think it's so amazing that you were able to transmute that.
Oh, I love what you just said. Then that's the intimacy piece, the edge that I feel as well, this relational intimacy. Just started raining really hard here. I don't know if you can hear it.
I can hear it, yeah.
Like total downpour. Is there, how are you feeling right now? You want to say some summary things? See what's coming through for some summary pieces, invitations for people, anything?
Yeah. How can people find out more about the Lumina Guild?
Go to luminaguild.com or message me, and I'm happy to share other things, like even the codex that I was talking about with the 12 facets. And my social media, I actually intend to be posting more, about the Lumina Guild. I cocooned a little while as I was finding my way with how to communicate about the Lumina Guild without becoming wordy and then feeling self-consciousness about the wordiness. So I'm just starting to speak about it differently now. Luminaguild.com, my Instagram would be a great place to follow. And also, on my link tree on my Instagram, I have my current offerings, which are Windows of the Sky and the Scene and Sovereign.
And your Instagram is?
Tiffany_Carole with an E at the end, Carole.
Beautiful. Thank you.
How about you?
So my Instagram is I am Rakia'el, Raka'iel, and my website is rakia'el.com. And so right now we are doing the enrollment for Shamanic Star Sound, and so this is my sound healing course, and it's beautiful because I stopped again. I walked away from sound healing 2 years ago, sold all of my instruments, and thought that I would not return. And now it's such a gift to be in the space of returning and finding a way in which I can do it in my own way. Because I had taught Shamanic Star Sound as an 8-week pre-recorded course before, back in 2018, and then in 2021 I transformed it into a 9-month certification. And the 9-month certification was amazing. I got to go really deep with some amazing, beautiful people, but it was also just a lot of work for me. And so now I'm actually selling the recordings of one of my favorite cohorts from the certification and the original videos from when it was a pre-recorded class in 2018. And that I'm also doing live sound labs with anybody who signs up for level 2 or VIP. So now it's a way in which I can actually come back to sound healing in my own way, in a way that feels sustainable for me, and still is still feeding my love of this medicine and the love that I have for vibrational healing and how it can really transform and change our planet right now.
What lights you up the most right now in your life?
Oh man. Well, yeah, I feel like it's really being in the leading edge of like, what is my, so right now we just opened the doors to Shamanic Star Sound, and so I'm just settling into that, but being at the leading edge of like, what does this offering want from me? What is the creative expression that is being asked of me right now? Because it's like I've taught this many times in many different ways, and so it's like, but now, like it's like I'm ordering my crystal singing bowls again because I sold them, and so I am in the ceremony of a student waiting for the bowls. Like I ordered them. It's as if I signed up for this program, and I've ordered the instruments, but they're not here yet. But it's kind of like, how do I live out that experience of what it is to be a student of sound, but not be in the full expression of it myself yet?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's just the entering deeper and deeper into the ceremony of this. And it was wild because we did a little like soft opening last weekend. And this time last week, we did a soft opening. So it was this just to open the doors for 48 hours and then close them again. And the same day that we did that soft opening, the woman who I had 2 sets of singing bowls. I sold one of them to a woman who lives here on Maui, and she messaged me, and she was like, she's a yoga teacher, and she was like, the big bowl that was keeping at the yoga studio, she needs for me to move it. Can I bring it back to you? And I was like,
oh, wow.
I was like, do you realize that you're bringing me back this singing bowl? and I just ordered my own set of bowls yesterday, and now you're bringing me, and it's a big solar plexus bowl, so it's all about self-confidence and all of that solar plexus everything. And
Wow.
so now it's sitting there, and it's like waiting for the rest of these instruments to arrive, and I'm like already planning how I'm going to transform this room into the ceremony room. And so it feels like I am very much in entering into my own ceremony of my re-relating with sound.
Wow. Wow.
So that's like always feels like it always feels like an edge.
Mhm.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing everything you shared, for being with me in this way, for journeying with me. Just, I know we've been together all of these years, but we haven't been together like this. Like, this is a new quality that I feel a lot of reverence and delight for. Thank you,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah. I
So
feel so
we're what?
I just said I feel so incredibly grateful.
Hmm. So we're gonna have keep going with these dialogues, and I'm thinking about saying this for anybody who's listening, is our intention is to have like a little flurry, so maybe two or three dialogues close together, a little break, come back, two or three dialogues close together, and let it be real and let it be dynamic and let it be art, really. That's how I like to feel it. And also, I'll say for anybody who's listening, if you're still listening, if in the comments, wherever you're listening to this, I'd love to hear what you thought about this, what landed for you,
Hmm.
what opened, what questions it brought, anything. I would love to hear. And does that feel like a good closing place?
Yeah, feels beautiful.
Okay. Bye, everyone. See you next time.